Guys, have you encountered this kind of problem? Deform wheel nut? This is a good one. See the side, it's hexagon, it's flat. But look, those deform wheel nut. Look at the side. So, guys, join me to resolve this kind of problem. Hello guys, welcome again to another episode of Pinoy in Australia. Today we are going to discuss how to remove a deform wheel nut. So in my case, I encountered it on the Ford Ranger 2013 year model. So what I had encountered is this. When I first tried to remove the wheel nut, this is what I found. 19mm socket and 21mm is loose. 90mm is tight, it won't go in. The 21mm socket is loose. So I'm just wondering what happened to the nut, because during that day I'm doing a PMS service on the vehicle, and I'm also replacing brake pads on the front. So when I'm trying to remove the wheel nuts, I'm just really wondering why the 19mm won't fit and the 21mm is too loose. So I'm wondering maybe it's imperial wheel nut. So I also try the imperial socket, but it won't fit. All of them are tight or loose. So what I did is I do some kind of investigation what's wrong with the wheel nut. So what I find out is the wheel nut supposed to be a hexagon, supposed to be like this. This is a good one. See, the side of the wheel nut is flat, so it's totally hexagon. It got flat corners. But what happened on the deform wheel nut is it's almost become round. So how did this thing happen? So what I did is I do some kind of investigation. So what I found out is the first mechanic that worked on this vehicle used a flower type 19mm socket, and he used impact. So on this particular model of Ford Ranger 2013 model, avoid using rattle gun and a flower type socket. So the right way to remove this socket is you need to use hexagon 19mm deep socket and use a breaker bar. Don't use the rattle gun, because even if you use the deep socket 19mm, there's a big possibility that it will deform the wheel nut. So what's wrong with the wheel nut? So what I did is I investigated what's the design of the wheel nut. So the design of wheel nut is the wheel nut is coated with stainless steel plate. So that's the plate. This is the good one. This is the good one. And once you remove the stainless steel plate coating on the wheel nut, this is what it looked like. Originally, the size of this wheel nut is 19mm tip, 19mm the size of the wheel nut. But once you remove the coat, the plating, the cover, the stainless steel coating on the nut, the size of the metal portion of the wheel nut is 17mm. So what happened is, during the time that I'm doing the brakes, because I need to remove the wheel nuts, remove the tires, and replace the brake pads, there's now socket won't fit. So what I did is, on good nuts, I have able to remove some of the nuts by inserting the 19mm hexagon tip socket. But there's a struggle in putting in the dip socket, hexagon dip socket. So what I did is I forcefully inserted the dip socket 19mm by hitting the dip socket with rubber mallet. So when I managed to put in the 19mm dip socket, I have managed to remove some of the wheel nut, but unfortunately maybe around 6 of the wheel nuts are deformed. So what I did is this: once you encounter this kind of problem, what you need is a nice sharp chisel, flat screwdriver, and a hammer. So what I did is, while the nut is still mounted on the stud on the wheel, I chiseled the top portion of the wheel nut. So I removed this top portion of the wheel nut. Then after removing the top portion of the wheel nut, I hit the side of the coated plate until it become like this. Then after hitting that one, because this chisel have limitation to go inside on the mugs, because the wheel of the Toyota Ranger that I'm working on have mug wheels. So what I did is I used this screwdriver to totally remove the plating, the stainless steel plating. So I managed. You can remove totally the mounting while the nut still mounted, while the wheel nut still mounted on the stud. So what will happen is it will become like this. So once you totally remove the stainless steel plate coating, you need to use a 17mm hexagon socket. So you will be able to remove the wheel nut once you remove the plating. So the design of Ford Ranger is like this. So this is the good one. As you can see, there is a shiny portion on the wheel nut. So this is the metal side. So this from here to there, that is the coated portion of the wheel nut. So when you're working on this kind of wheel nut, be careful not to use a rattle gun and a flower type socket. So that's what happened on this wheel nut, because according to the owners of the vehicle, he brought the vehicle on the tire shop to replace the tires, and I think on that shop they use a flower type socket 19mm, and they use rattle gun. So during the during the removal of the wheel nut, the flower socket had deformed the wheel nut, so it become like this. So no longer flat-sided, it's like a flower type too. Flower type it molded the shape of the flower type socket. So guys, if you're going to work on this one, make sure you use dip socket 19mm 1/2 drive. Then don't use rattle gun or impact wrench. Use power handle to mount and install the wheel nut. Then make sure that you torque the wheel nut. So to inspect this wheel nut, whether the coating is still good or bad, whether it's loose, once you install the dip socket 19mm, what you do is you shake the handle of the power handle, and you can feel that the coating of the wheel nut is moving from the metal portion of the wheel nut. So if you encounter that kind of problem, immediately replace it with different wheel nut. So my advice to the customer is replace all the wheel nut with the chrome plated wheel nut. So chrome plated wheel nut is much better than the coated plate design of wheel nut. So that's what happened, guys. So I hope this will be this video will be helpful for you once you encounter this kind of problem. Not only if you encounter this kind of problem, but it will avoid you from making this kind of problem. So by using the proper tools, hexagon 19mm socket, you will never encounter this kind of problem and avoid using the tip socket, the rattle gun when it comes to removing the nuts and installing the wheel nuts. So what happened here is the shop that replaced the tires, they had managed to put in the wheel nuts. Then after putting the wheel nuts, they use a rattle gun. Then what happened is the shape of the coating is become like this. So when it's my turn to replace the brake pads and remove the wheel nuts, I cannot remove it anymore because it's already deformed. So guys, see you on the next video. I hope you will avoid this kind of problem by using my instruction, by using the right tools. Okay guys, see you on the next video.